Hello everybody, this is Shane and welcome to Takeover Tuesday, where we help you lift your level of leadership and your life as well. Listen, if you're joining us today on YouTube or via our podcast platform, we're so glad that you tuned in. And what our goal is today is to help you go to a whole nother level in your life. Now, over the last couple of times that we've spent together, I've been teaching on how to build team unity that equals great productivity. The truth of the matter is you will not be productive no matter how good your team is, no matter how good your players are, if you have disunity in the crowd. So how do you build great unity? Well, I've given you a lot of keys, so if you've missed any of the episodes, make sure you go back and watch. But I'm going to review really quickly, and then I'm going to lay one more key into your lap today to help build great unity in your organization that'll lead to some extreme productivity. So first of all, let me just tell you, if you want to have great unity, you've got to build clarity. Clarity creates unity. We talked about that in detail, and I gave you some very practical steps on how to do that. And then the second way that you build team unity is you make sure that you emphasize your culture over your task. I cannot overstate how important your culture is. If you have a toxic culture, it does not matter how good your team is, it will end up eventually demolishing everything that you build. So make sure you emphasize your culture over your task. And as I told you before, I gave you some great tools on how to do that. So if you missed that episode, go back and watch it. Today, I want to give you the third key of how to build great team unity that leads to great productivity. Well, here it is. Number 3, make sure you emphasize collaboration. Here's the reason why. Collaboration actually creates more impact. I don't care how gifted you are, leader, listen to me. I don't care how gifted you are, you'll never be able to exceed your own greatness. The only way to lift what John Maxwell called the law of the lid is to surround your people who know how to collaborate with you and help lift the entire team to a whole nother level of leadership. So remember, collaboration increases your impact. Now, how do you do that? How do you build greater collaboration? Now, here's what I found, and I just want to throw this out there because I know several of you are dealing with the same things that I deal with all the time. If you're like me and you like having aggressive, strong leaders around you who really take ownership of the vision that you've put in their lap, and then they take the leadership route, they actually lead, not just manage, then inevitably those kind of leaders become a little bit territorial. And they kind of go to protecting their department. Now, if you don't check that, and if you don't deal with that mindset, what will happen is eventually isolationism will set within each one of your departments of your organization, and people will become almost like a god unto themselves in that part of your organization. When that takes place, people stop collaborating together. So one of the things I do as a leader is I force my team to collaborate because, listen, we're better together than we are apart. And the greatest trap of the enemy when it comes to building a team is isolationism. So if I see somebody disconnecting on my team, I go out of my way to make sure that I address the issue and let them know that they're never as good alone as they are when they're surrounded by a great team. So let me give you some very important practical aspects on how to build greater unity through collaboration. Because nobody is called to do ministry, to do life, or to do business alone. Nobody. And for those of you who are in the Christian circles, I know what you're saying. You know, if I've got God, I don't need anybody but God. I don't need anybody but God. I hear that so much, but do you know how big of a heresy that is? Think about it. God created Adam and put him in the garden. It was a perfect situation. There was no chaos there. He was sinless at that time. The fall had not affected anything. Yet God looked at Adam in the garden and said, "It is not good for him to be alone." God said it, not Adam. So God, the creator of the universe, recognized the need for interdependence upon one another. And so again, I want to tell you that isolationism is a trap. The devil knows that true teamwork multiplies your effectiveness and your impact. So pastors, you got to stop being so guarded. If you're a leader in a corporation, stop being so guarded. And when you bring a leader on board, empower them to lead and bring something valuable to the table. So here's your practical aspects. How do you do that? How do you build greater collaboration? Number one, simply ask for their input. I know that this sounds so mundane or simple or oversimplified, but you would be shocked at how great your organization could progress, how much impact and effectiveness you would have if you would just ask your team what they thought about what was going on, how they view what's going on. Every week in our staff meetings, we collaborate and we always discuss our wins and our losses. Why do I do that? Because I want to know what they're feeling. I want to know what they're thinking. I can't be everywhere in my organization at the same time. I'm not God. But I trust the leaders that I have put in place to make sure that they bring a collaboration to the table and they have liberty and freedom. Now, the number one thing that will kill input is fear. So if you've got a culture where they're afraid to speak up or to call out things, then they're not going to share what's in their heart. You've got to make sure your team feels like they're in a safe environment, that it's not dictatorial, but it's collaborative, all right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit down with your team and ask them for help. And I don't just do that with my staff. I do that with all of my departmental leaders, volunteer sections throughout our organization. I ask everybody for their input. And then I weigh everything they say and I make sure that, you can't just take everybody's advice, but I make sure that whatever they're giving me lines up with the vision and it doesn't cause mission drift, because everybody has an opinion and not every opinion is something that you need to act on. There's a difference between good and God. I'm trying to get what God wants to do, not just what's good. And so when you ask for input, keep those things in mind. Here's the second key to building great collaboration. Make your teams work across the teams. In other words, if you're a pastor, make your youth pastor work with the children's pastor, or your young adult pastors to work with the youth pastors. On our team, nobody's an island to themselves. If somebody's having an event and they need help, our team is going to jump in there and they're going to help with that event. We force them to work across their teams. And if I start seeing a leader who is disengaging from one team member or next, I set those team members down and I say, I want to know, or I ask them, I want to know what's going on that's causing this separation between you two. That kind of division will stop your unity and it'll shut your productivity down. Let me give you the third key about how to build great unity and collaboration. Here it is. Make sure that you value every gift. Leader, when's the last time that you've bragged on your people? When's the last time that you've encouraged your people? The last time that you've spoke life over your people? People don't want to work in a depressed, heavy environment where they never feel like they're appreciated. Learn to value every single gift because every gift is valuable. Do things to let them know that you recognize what they've done. So we brag, we celebrate, we have a great time together, and we even have fun together. When's the last time you gathered your team together, not to talk about business, but to actually just have a good time together? I'm trying to give you some very important keys. And if you'll do what I'm telling you right now, it'll increase your collaboration, which will cause a greater impact. Now, I want to give you a very important truth that I learned through 35 years of helping organizations. Here it is. Excellence is not about perfection. It's about being trustworthy, prepared, and dependable. In fact, let me take it to another level. Excellence isn't being the best. Listen, I used to play sports. I love sports, but I want you to hear me today. There's always somebody better than you. And if you want something that'll kill your joy, your happiness, make you despise what you do, compare yourself amongst yourself. It'll kill it, I promise you. It'll take all your energy away. But years ago, I was pushing hard in an organization and I was trying to lift us to another level of excellence. But I looked at excellence as perfection. But listen to me. God doesn't look at it that way. Excellence is not being the best. There's always somebody better. Excellence is being the best you can be with the tools and resources that God has put in your hand at the moment, the season that you're in. So, encourage everybody to always bring their A game, to be dependable, to be trustworthy, to be stable. Teach this and drive this into your team. And expect excellence. Set the bar high because they're always going to come below it, I promise you. But don't be afraid to set the bar high. And I'm really going to help some of you right now. I do this same exact thing when it comes to all of my volunteers. Do you know why? Because if you lower the bar for volunteers, that's where they'll go to. So I keep the bar very high for every leader all the way across the board, whether they're paid or they're unpaid. Because excellence is being the best that we can be with the resources that are in our hands. Now, how do you be excellent? Real fast. Number one, do what you say. Quit telling people you're going to do something and never follow up on it. I know teachers, preachers, leaders who never return a phone call. They never communicate back to anybody. It makes you look like you're not dependable. So do what you say if you want to build excellence. Number two, be prepared. Be prepared. What do I mean by that? Avoid last minute scrambling to get something done. So we have a rule here at our church. No drama on Sunday morning. No drama on Wednesday night. When we do our services, we make sure that we are prepared. And inevitably, you're going to have things happen from time to time. You just deal with it, you address it, and you get better at it every single time. Here's another key to developing excellence. Refine and improve. When's the last time you've audited your organization? You've audited your budget. You've audited your team's effectiveness. How often do you look at the numbers in different categories within your organization and you measure whether you're succeeding or whether you're failing? Never stop refining and improving. Now, this creates a little bit of friction with my team because whenever they hit a goal that I set for them, then they want to naturally just rest and enjoy where they're at. But what I do, as soon as we hit the goal, we celebrate the goal and then we set a new goal and we move toward it. So again, I want to encourage you, always be refining and improving. Here's the last key to building excellence in your team. Own the mission. Teach your team to own the mission. Make them such a part of it that it's not your business, it's not your church, it's theirs. And when somebody owns the mission, they respond and they react differently. They even talk to people in the outside community differently. So build ownership into their leadership. And so I just want to encourage you with these final words today. Excellent isn't about impressing people. It's about honoring God and doing your best. All right? So today, thank you for joining me on Takeover Tuesday. I hope that these things have helped you. If they have, if you're watching by YouTube or podcast, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and do me a favor, hit the like button and hit the share button so that we can help other people take their life to the next level as well. I'll see you next Tuesday.